Oh, what a difference a day makes. Last time I did a video, it was a few hours before the Trump Biden first debate of the 2024 election cycle. And I gave the best arguments from my point of view for both Biden and Trump. And this is a video after that debate where it was probably very historical. And so my goal in this video is to give advice to the Democratic Party as to how you use debate analysis to come up with the optimal choices that are facing the Democratic Party. So my advice falls into two categories. First, fire the debate coach. Do this loudly, do this clearly, to send a signal that you know there's a problem and you're doing something about it. Second, stop the deception. Clearly, the fact that President Biden could possibly at times not be able to think on his feet is something the American people needed to know long before now. So stop the deception. So let's go through this one by one. Firing the debate coach. So you should not only fire the debate coach, you should fire the person who hired the debate coach and fire the person who hired the person who hired the debate coach. And this is because this is plain negligence, okay? Any debate coach would have made two very simple points. First, you got to practice. Practice debating, because debating is about thinking on your feet. It's not like public speaking. Public speaking is reading from a teleprompter. But debating is thinking on your feet, and that's a skill. And the only way to get a skill is repetition. So you have to debate all the time. You don't squirrel yourself away at Camp David and read books or whatever the hell he did for a week. So how do you do that? And the answer is you pick whoever you can find and debate them. Robert Kennedy Jr. wanted to debate Biden, but the Democratic Party booted him out. And so Biden didn't debate him. But if Biden did debate him, then we would have found out one of two things. Either Biden was good, in which case he would have improved his skills, or if he was bad, we would have known earlier. Now let me just point out, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, I'm an independent, so I don't mean this to sound like I'm bashing the Democrats. But the point of this video is to give them some advice, so the focus is there. So the second part of a debate coach's job is to really put Biden up there acting as Trump, not the other way around. Biden has to understand the perspective of Trump by debating as if he were Trump. Now, this insight comes from a book called Hagakure by a samurai called Yamamoto. And what Yamamoto said, amongst other things, is that a good samurai understands his opponents better than the opponents understand themselves. So translated into debating, what this means is Biden has to basically think in terms of the optimal answer that Trump would give. So let's look at some questions we could ask President Biden. So President Biden, get up there, try to be Trump. Mr. Trump, on abortion, is it true that you want to deprive a woman's right to control over her body and abortion on a national level? Now, what is Trump's optimal answer? The optimal answer is hell no. I never said, I being President Trump, I never said that there should be a national ban. In fact, I said the opposite. It shouldn't be at the federal level. It should be the state level. And there are states that allow abortions. So ask the Democratic Party. They seem to be able to raise billions of dollars. Ask them for a bus ticket to go to a state with abortion. The very fact that you can go to a state with an abortion means that I, President Trump, didn't ban abortions. So then he would stop. That's his optimal answer. What's his optimal answer to the question, hey, Trump, you're a felon. Why should anybody trust you? The optimal answer from Trump is absolutely, I'm a convicted felon. I am convicted of paperwork that was not done, bookkeeping. And for the same bookkeeping error, I've been convicted 34 times. But I've been convicted by a Democratic district attorney with an investigation done by a Democratic head of the Justice Department of the state of New York. And if it wasn't for the name Trump, a number of people, in fact, the majority of Americans say that this persecution wouldn't have happened, because the majority of Americans in polls say that this is the use of the state by the Biden administration against a political opponent. So yes, sir, Mr. Trump, I have been convicted and I am a felon, but it's because of you and the attempt to use the amazing powers of the government against an individual. And I'd rather have it happen to me than to an average citizen because I have more resources. So that is Trump's answer. What would you say, President Biden? You and I can work on it together in the debating prep. So fire the debating coach. That's what a good debating coach should have done. Let's look at Stop the Deception. Well, look, there is a perception that comes across that the Democratic Party is filled with a lot of very educated elites, PhDs, and experts of all kinds. And it just comes across that they look down on the average man who works with their hands. Now, the thing about the average man who works with his hands, what I call people who put nails through boards, is they have common sense and they have instincts. They have a gut instinct, and they can tell when something doesn't smell right. Now, I had a commenter call at JPerkification, and you can read it on my last video. He made a brilliant comment. He said, when Trump talks, he talks like people talk. And what people hear is not a lie, but a kernel of truth wrapped around a lot of bravado and exaggeration. And that's what pencil heads like Harry Enten, who is a fact checker at CNN, that's what he misses. So, for example, Harry Enten keeps on throwing out these statistics. You know what? Trump is a liar because migrants don't create crime. The statistics show that the average migrant doesn't create more crime than a natural-born American. But the average person listens to that and says that doesn't pass the smell test. There have been 8 million people that have gone across the border illegally during Biden's tenure, and they've been unvetted by and large. So you're trying to tell me 8 million people who are unvetted would not increase the crime rate? And, you know, to a person like Laken Riley's parents, these averages don't matter. Laken Riley was this Georgia University nursing student. She went out jogging, and she was killed by a Venezuelan illegal migrant who had crossed the border. And so for Laken Riley's parents, crime has increased. It's increased by one person, their daughter. And it's increased by a person who said had never been in the country. So to say to the parents, the averages say that there is no increase in crime, doesn't accord with their experience. And the average person understands that kernel of truth, which Harry Enten seems to think he knows better on. And Harry Enten is not the only person. This is just a perspective that I've heard from a lot of people they feel about the Democratic Party. So what have I said? I've said my 2 pieces of advice are fire the debating coach and recognize there was negligence, mainly as not as an excuse, but as an act of contrition to show that there were problems and we're taking steps to fix them. And then secondly, stop the deception. Stop talking down to people who work with their hands. So those are my data points and my assumptions and my conclusions. If you don't think my data points and assumptions were factual, let me know. If you don't think my conclusions followed from my data points and assumptions, let me know. Let me know in the comments if you agree or you don't agree.